Everybody, this is Helen, and Szara's going to join me in a millisecond. I'm just going to set it up because, she's still in Hawaii. Hold on a minute. She's going to join us in a second. I think I should have like a song and dance routine. Here we go, adding her in. It's going to add you in a second. There you are, my darling. Yay!
Hello.
I can see you. There we go. Oh, look at your smiling face. Hello.
Yes. Awesome. So today we get to be together and we are wrapping up self-care. And before we wrap it up, there are still some parts that we really want to bring that we thought would be really important.
Yeah, I love it. So you and I were just a little bit in conversation about what it looks like to take care of ourselves. And I know you had a really interesting word for it. So do you want to share your word?
I know. I call it, so for myself, and it's so funny, it kind of points to maybe something negative about myself. So, is I actually call it, like, one big important thing for me for self-care is a hygiene. And I call it hygiene. And it's all of hygiene and so much more. So I don't want to laugh like that. It's a little, but it's also so much more than that. One thing I found as a mom and being like really focused on providing the things I want to provide for my kids is one of the first places that kind of went out for me, or that like I would just be okay with leaving because it didn't seem that important, were things along my hygiene. Yeah. And it was like things along, brushing my hair and putting it a certain way. It's like, who cares? Throw it in a ponitail and go.
Yes.
Things like,
it's a bit like the yoga pants, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we'll just pop on our yoga pants because that's the easiest thing to do. Or the mom jeans.
Yeah, exactly. I hate jeans, so you don't often see me in jeans. But the yoga pants,
guess what I'm wearing?
Hair bun, hopping in my minivan and driving my kids around. Like, and if something dirty happens or my kids will wipe themselves on my shirt or I have dirty hands, and I just get into it too. I start wiping my hands on my pants. Like, it's just becomes the last thing that I think about or care about. And but what does happen though? Like, then you still go into that bathroom or at home and you go look in the mirror and you see this reflection back at yourself, and it's not necessarily the match for who you know yourself to be. And I don't know, for myself, I would be left with something in that too. I'd be left at like, okay, so this is now who I am, or all that I am. Like, it's just like I was a lot smaller in how I knew myself. And and it was like the first thing to always go. So one big thing that I put in place, and I was taking this on for myself a few years back, was I would pick one day a week. It was my Mondays. And on every single Monday, I took an extra effort that today would be the day I brushed my hair and I put it up in an interesting way, some thoughtful way, and that I would trim my toenails or polish my nails or put on some clear polish. But there was some kind of treat that I would give to myself that day, like carve it out like it mattered, and do that for myself.
I really love that, because I think I remember just days and days of like looking after small people, right? And it's the same now. Like, it can go days and days of my attention being on looking after other people, right? And I love what you said, like carving out a specific day. I know, like one of the things I do that I think is really funny, but I create my hairdresser appointment every 6 weeks because then it's out there in the future. I happen to love my hairdresser, and I always have like found like the most fabulous, hilarious hairdressers. So it's like a treat to go and have my hair cut and like laugh uproariously about life and get pampered a bit, but like that it's in my life scheduled, because I used to just let it go, and then I'd look in the mirror and my head be like bleh, and it'd be like bleh, like that would be a very professional way of saying it. Specific carving out the
Yeah,
time
no,
where I
definitely. And
look
it's
after myself. So
so
yeah.
many
Sorry.
Yeah. And there's so many of those small things that make such a difference, right? And we
Yeah.
consider them small, but you add them up and like it's and I think that's why they're quick to go off the list as a mom. Like,
Yeah.
like there were those days like, breastfeeding a couple of children and not sleeping at night and
Mm-hmm.
having older children and it's like I was exhausted. I was
Yeah.
totally utterly exhausted and worn
Yeah.
down. And not actually telling the truth to myself about that either. Like, I
Yeah.
could just,
Oh,
I'm gonna buck up and put on my big girl panties and face this day because I can do it.
yeah. Oh,
And I'm gonna
yeah.
get this badge of
Yes.
honor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and like my word for it is I would pretzel myself, right? I would pretzel myself for everybody else, and that not me though. Like, I was not on that pretzel, however that shape goes. Yeah, I wasn't on that shape.
Yeah, yeah, not that shape. But what happens when we're doing that? It's like that's when these little things, because they seem so little at the time, it's like, okay, does it really matter if my hair looks a certain way? And you know what? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And does it really matter what clothes I wear? And you know what? It doesn't. And does it really matter, if I put chapstick on and took care of the dry lips that I'm having? No, it doesn't really matter if my fingernails are cut, my toenails are cut and trimmed, or my legs are shaved, like that. And it doesn't. None of that actually does matter. And adding it up all together, though, it does start to matter at a certain point. There's a certain threshold that actually has a cost in a way that, and it matters if we do, I find.
Mm-hmm. You know, I used to wear, I think you call them house coats here. In South Africa, we call them dressing gowns. And I used to always wear that, especially when the kids were small and I was nursing them a lot and that kind of stuff. And I remember there was a point in time when I had to actually choose to not wear it anymore because it made me feel like schlumpy and like not caring for myself. Like there's another word for it, but like I actually had to choose that this wasn't who I was. Like I actually had to put it aside, right? So
Mm-hmm.
me could show up. That's what I'm just related to in what you're sharing, right? Like the sum of all those things actually starts to make a difference, is really what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And at the time, just each one individually, they seem like it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
eventually, we're worn out, we're run haggard, and we're not taking the time to care for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what does self-care look like?
Yeah.
And I find like the biggest bang for the buck with self-care is in those little things. Like they're the easiest things to really implement and put in,
And
and
and they
they can
don't
make a
need to be a
difference.
huge investment, right? Like I think that's part of what I'm hearing you really say. It doesn't need to be some monster investment, like going and having whatever it is, like a whole spa day.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Like
have
I
to be like
remember,
that.
yeah, like when I, being a single mom for a while of three kids, and like, it was like it was something to put food on the table. Like I didn't have the experience
Yeah.
of having the ability to or
Yeah.
to even get my nails done or do anything
Yeah.
out there like that. Like it just really wasn't even a reality. I had broken glasses that were taped on that looked like this. Like that was my reality.
Yeah.
And so at the time it was like, what could I do that could care for myself? What could I do to
Mm-hmm.
mark to say like, hey, I matter here. I'm somebody. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Szara, and like to
Mm-hmm.
honor me and my expression of
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
There we go. And I found like it was those Mondays, like those hygiene Mondays, those Mondays where I just gave myself those little gifts. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and it's interesting because I bet you could sit down with yourself right now. Like, and I
Exactly.
invite you to do this. Sit down with a pen and paper and like try to fill that page with all the different things you could treat yourself to or honor yourself with or be like an act of self-care or self-love that
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
could do in under 5 minutes, that you could do,
Yeah.
in like anytime, anywhere for any price, like that it doesn't have to have a big price tag or a big time investment.
Yeah.
And I invite you to challenge yourself to fill that list.
I know, because you know what, when you're saying like that, I know one of the things I do is always choose a pretty mug to drink my hot drink out, and that I drink it while it's hot. I don't reheat my drinks, right? So my commitment is if I start a hot drink, right? And it sounds so silly, but it's one of those things. Hey, I'm worth actually spending a whole hot drink on, I can get to the end of it. I'm doing my weird eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's so many things. One of the things for me too, actually, I just thought of is clean sheets. There's so
Yes.
often with kids that come into your bed and crumbs and everything, and like you just put up with it, and then you know what? Finally, it's like, you know what? No, this day today, I deserve clean,
Clean sheets.
pristine sheets, and I'll wash them, and it'll be like a ceremony. It'll be like the bed is laid and the sheets get on, and it's like nobody can go in until I do. I get to
No,
go into this bed
I get
first.
first dibs, right? Yeah.
And I just even say like, okay, I'm gonna take 5 minutes
Oh, sorry.
in my
You're
clean
hanging
sheet
again,
bed.
just so you know.
Like
No.
no crumbs. And it's so fun.
Yeah. Totally. It makes me
Yeah.
think we ended up getting a new bed after, I don't know, umpteen years, but I remember, Sarah, you and I went somewhere together, and we got to stay in a hotel, and the bed was luxurious. And it wasn't that the linen was great, but the bed was, and I kept going on and on about it. Well, finally this year, we replaced our bed, and it's the clean sheets in the really luxurious bed. And I'm like, oh, I'm looking after myself. And I actually, you know what the other thing is that seems really inane, but making my bedroom really pretty, like a place I want to be in.
Yeah. Like your bedside table. That's actually a really important spot to me, is my
Yes.
bedside table. And like
Yes.
just like honoring it. It's a little sacred space. It's this little
Yes.
space where it's like it can get really crowded fast with books and drinks and snacks and kids stuff and thrown things. And it's like taking that act of like, this is my little sacred space, and washing it down and keeping it minimalistic with like a couple special pieces to me.
Yeah.
Um, it's like that kind
Yes.
of stuff really makes a difference when you carve up those spaces. I love that you said
Yes.
that, because that's so
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it is. It's the honoring of self, right? Like that you actually, and so I have this conversation always in my house. I don't have many spaces that are actually mine that just belong to me, right? But my bedside table is one of them, right? No, really. Yeah. And I
That's good to
totally
know.
love
Now I'm
that.
gonna come over and like,
And it's messy at the moment. So I'm going to go on it myself and clean up my bedside table.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So my invitation to all is like make that list of all those acts that could honor yourself and be acts of self-love. And each day, you could even promise yourself each day you'll do one act of self-love and self-honoring.
Yeah.
And like watch the difference it makes. That would be such a great challenge.
Yeah. Do you know what? I remember reading when I was a mom with little kids, this woman, and she's kind of famous now, but she used to do something creative every single day with the kids. And once it was like Modge Podging a tray. Do you know what I mean? But she would literally every day in her self-care take on doing something creative, because that was the part of her brain that needs to be lit up for her to feel
Mhm.
like her life had got, like, I don't know, that it was fulfilled, right? And she would include her kids, and her projects were simple. Her name is Amanda Soul, but she goes under Soul Mom, Soule, Mama. And it was enlightening to me, like how we could take on those small moments, right? And I still do it now. So when I get in my van and it's just me, I get to choose how warm the air is, how hot my seat is, and what music's playing, and which hot drink I take with me. And it's my moment, right? So yes, I'm
Mm.
all in. Let's create those moments where we're celebrating our self-care, right?
Yeah. Awesome. I'm playing that game this week. So Helen, you playing too? We'll play together and
Hands
let's
down.
pose. Like seriously,
Yes.
let's pose what we're doing so we can create
Okay.
this great list that we can all choose and play with and honor ourselves and
Awesome.
give our
All in.
big acts of self-love.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. Hi, Phil.
Bye everyone.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Aloha.